I was begging and pleading for days, and then my strong finish was, dear, it's half price. Just worked right away.
Now, Vicky, my wife Vicky supported me for many years. She was an elementary school teacher. She actually didn't join until after she retired. When she rejoined in 07, 08. She was actually installed by an international president. Dave Curry was at our club meeting, and he installed her as a member, but she didn't take an officer's role until she retired from teaching. But she served 2 terms now as president at various times. And she's a great support. I hope you all get a chance to meet her in Salt Lake City next year.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Lamita's family is actually a family of educators, where her mom was a 4th grade teacher for 30 years here in Indianapolis, and her family back in Texas are superintendents and teachers and vice principals, that type of thing. But my wife was a TV producer for Good Morning America in her 20s. So if I ever have an issue with communication and 3 and 4 syllable words, it's always, dear, how do you pronounce this, with a non-regional dialect?
I'm also surrounded by teachers. My baby sister has her master's in deaf education and taught special needs children with hearing impairments. And then she went on to be a supervisor in the state of Maryland. I don't know exactly what her title was, but she was a liaison between school districts and the State Board of Education to make sure they were in compliance with ADA guidelines. And then my other younger sister was a supervisor of career and technology services throughout our county for 20-some years. She had all of what, back in my days, we called them shop and home ec teachers, and she shudders every time I use those terms. And they're now called home and consumer sciences and career and vocational education. And then my older sister was graduated as a teacher, and she went on to become a resource librarian. So I'm surrounded by teachers.
I hate to interrupt the esteemed royalty on the call here, but I'm getting a prompt. My last one, this is the last chance Taylor gets to boss me around here.
I don't see any esteemed royalty.
As your outgoing president. And so we're going to go ahead and kick off the meeting. I want to again thank our October Zoom meeting sponsor, Trent Cowles. Reminder, we won't be able to host our Abe Lincoln banquet, but we will still be awarding scholarships and hope to honor the students at a later time. Before I keep going, if you would introduce yourself via chat, we would appreciate it. I think we have some of our Jamaican friends on the call. We also, unfortunately, won't be able to have our 2020 in-person football program, but again, we will still award scholarships and are looking for ways to honor our students. As you know, all club person meetings have been canceled through the end of the year. Again, this is the last chance I've got to thank you. We hit our fundraising goal, our legacy campaign goal of $105,000. And again, I say as a fundraiser, we won't turn down any additional donations or checks that you may have to continue to top us off there. But thank you to everybody. That's a really significant, accomplishment. We're going to ask you to stay muted until we take questions, I guess, for Eric or for Art. We're going to get going here. I'm supposed to make last remarks, but I made quite a few of those last week. So the only remarks I'm going to make again are to thank the board. I sent them plaques out to everyone and thank yous, and they've just been a tremendous board of support. So thank you. I also wanted to acknowledge a couple people who were not on the call and had to put up with my farewell speech last week, but Mary Marsh and Marge, I mentioned what a great influence you've had on me, and you've been real role models for me in this role. So glad I get the chance to thank you for what you've done for me and for your support. So now at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Art Riley, who is the Kiwanis International President. We're honored to have you here, and I'm going to turn it over to you for officer inductions.
Thank you very much, Graham. It's an honor and pleasure to be with you today. It's always a special day to start a new Kiwanis year. It's a new opportunity to renew our dedication to the objects of Kiwanis International. It's a new opportunity to share our K with new members. It's an opportunity to induct new leaders and watch them emerge through their leadership roles at Kiwanis at the club level. I'd like to, first of all, start off by thanking all of the leaders this past year. 1920 rather, has been a very unusual year for clubs, divisions, and districts. I recognize that, and I commend you for your perseverance in meeting online and continuing your commitment to the children of Indianapolis. So thank you to all the officers who led the club during 1920. I'd like to right now go by, there are two directors I understand that are leaving the board of directors this year. Is it Peter Schuth? He's supposed to be on the call today. And then Chick Bourne, who could not be with us today. We thank you for your service, and we remind you to stay active in other Kiwanis activities, even though you're not a member of the club board. Coming on to the board, we have three members: Nancy Ulrich, Bill Dubois, and Duke Haddad. Welcome to the board of directors of the Kiwanis Club of Downtown Indianapolis. I'm not familiar with the three of you, so I don't know whether you have served on the board or not. If not, you should be aware that the board of directors actually does the management of the club. They are the authority to approve budgets, implement ideas, and to actually do the day-to-day management of the club. It's your obligation to serve the members well and to make sure that the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis continues to grow and serve the children in the Indianapolis area. The incoming secretary is not present today. Is it Trina Rodebush? We anticipate that she'll be a faithful secretary. Club secretaries are the backbone of a club. They keep all the work going. They keep all the wheels turning, and it's an absolute necessity that clubs have a good and functioning secretary. And I pledge to Trina my support if there's any way I can help her. Incoming treasurer is Roger Cummings. Roger, I believe I saw a name on the call earlier. Roger, your opportunity to serve the club comes in financial aspects. You are responsible for dispersing of the funds at the direction of the board. You are the custodian and keeper of all funds, and your integrity is obvious because they've entrusted you with this responsibility. Roger, congratulations on being elected treasurer of the Indianapolis Club, and I wish you well in the coming year. Graham, you've had an interesting year. COVID landed right in the middle of it, and I appreciate your perseverance. All of us were hit by the pandemic, and those club presidents such as you who held the clubs together, continued your fundraising to the extent you could, continued to serving the children and using that money that you raised to serve the children and the community. Our hats go off to you. You are respected, and we look forward to your continued service in the coming years and weeks of your Kiwanis Club. I do caution you one thing, however. As the immediate past president, some Kiwanians have a tendency to think that means vacation. But during this past year, you've learned an awful lot in leadership, the operation of your club. Share those, mentor new members, and participate fully as you become the immediate past president. You will serve on the board for another year. Again, an opportunity for you to share what you've learned with the board of directors and maintain that continuity and teamwork, which is essential for strong Kiwanis clubs. Your new president-elect is Carol Orbison. Carol, let's see, are you on the call? Carol, it's good to see you. Meet you virtually anyhow. I look forward to meeting you in person at a future date. You have been elected president-elect. And as I like to tell, everyone has an elect after their title. This is your year of planning. Your success next year will be based on the amount of effort you put forth this year in planning the year ahead in 21-22. Please pay attention to my remarks to Eric because they also apply to you. congratulations on becoming the president-elect of the Downtown Indianapolis Kiwanis Club. President Eric Steele. Eric, you have been honored by your club members to lead the Kiwanis Club of Downtown Indianapolis for the 2021 year. First of all, welcome to the 2021 year. It's going to be an exciting year. You have a lot of obligation. I hope you've completed your planning because that will make the coming year. Eric, you are a leader. You are not a dictator. You must be able to engage all of your members. Find a job for every member. There's a job in Kiwanis for everyone, regardless of their abilities or interests. It's your unique position that allows you to match your members' talents than their desires to what can be done to serve the children of Indianapolis. Eric, I wish you well during the 2021 year, and I pledge to you that I am here to support you in any way that I can from my office international president. Eric, congratulations, and I understand that someone near to you has got a gavel, a plaque, and a pin to present to you since I can't be there with you.
No, thank you very much, Art. And I actually got a super pin because Graham had told me I was a dictator. So I had the biggest pin in Kiwanis history printed up so everyone knows who is passing down laws, hell or high water. No, I'm just kidding. But thanks so much for your time, Art. And I understand you're being inducted today, which is a huge honor. I saw you are a second generation Kiwanian. I'm a second generation president. My grandfather had joined in '61, but he was never formally a president. He was kind of a habitual 7-day-a-week entrepreneur, but he always had a special place in his heart with Kiwanis, and so did my dad. And kind of how Mr. Blythe strongly encouraged Graham to join when he moved to Indianapolis. My dad, after Lamita and I moved from New York back to Indianapolis, I was basically strongly encouraged to immediately join and get to know some of these great Kiwanians and philanthropists, and most importantly, service-oriented, like-minded people who are willing to put their time and treasure ahead of their own interests. So Graham, it has been a tough year. I'm glad it was you and not me. So you've worn that bullseye on your back with pride and with a smile. And Taylor, just so you know, you're going to be doing a lot for me that Graham was doing for everybody else. So Graham, we appreciate the 1,000 hours of work you put in. We appreciate the 100 hours a year you had put in before that on the founding or the Families First Committee. And Graham, would you mind, just as a final goodbye, you had sent out a very nice email summarizing some of the progress that Butler has made since their 2 Final Four runs as part of your outgoing shameless self-promotion. Would you mind giving us a minute on what this book entails, and then just some of the milestones that Butler has been able to check off the last decade?
This is nice, and I didn't ask you to tee this up. So in the few hours each day that I had during COVID, I started writing, and really it was a reflection of we had the 2 back-to-back Final Fours here at Butler in 2010, 2011, and ultimately, and what I wanted to capture was everything that's happened here. Phenomenal fundraising, new buildings, rankings, our enrollment, our applications have doubled in a time where the national trend was decline. We earned $1.2 billion in earned media from those Final Fours. And so I started writing. My wife said, you're really bad if you have time on your hands, so you need to do something. And so I started writing, turned into a 170,000 Word document. And Friday I found out I have a publisher who wants to make it a book. That's kind of off the record right now, so staying on the Zoom call. Shameless self-promotion. If you want to pre-order, you have a text function or chat function. You can come in at the $19 price rather than the $22 price. But I do think it's a great story of what Butler has achieved. proud to tell it. And yeah, thank you, Eric. I'll send you any commissions that we have coming in.
No, I appreciate that very much. So in the sense of how far back I go with Kiwanis, some of my earliest memories in life are going to the Kiwanis softball game at Busch Stadium, and just really being, if there are elements of society that you were nurtured to believe, it's Kiwanians, and then right above pedophiles you have Rotarians. So I am kind of going back to some of the Kiwanis International formats for this is what Eric Steele, as an incoming president, is supposed to address during his first meeting. So we're going to get back to art after a little update from some of our committee chairs. So I have done some private chats with Mrs. Wendy Paddock and Laura Berry, Mr. Dunham, and Bill Du Bois. So Wendy was the first to respond. So Wendy has worn many hats. She's a past president from her Louisiana chapter. So Art, this is really a 5-minute introduction into our club with some of our most engaged leaders. So that being said, Mrs. Wendy, if you could specifically address the Abe Lincoln Scholarship, the giving that we do each year, a little bit of the history, and then maybe what we can expect for 2021. But I'll turn it over to Miss Wendy.
Okay, thank you so much. And Art, thank you for being here. This is a great day. Congratulations, Eric. So every year, our club gives scholarships to 4 deserving high school seniors who have overcome tremendous challenges. And those challenges can be environmental, they can be medical, they run the gamut. And this is a tradition that has gone back many, many decades. This year, unfortunately, we won't be able to hold our in-person banquet. It's usually in February, as close to Abe Lincoln's birthday as we can manage. But with the situation we have at hand, we are still going to award those scholarships. As a matter of fact, the application packets have already gone out to the schools, and we're wrapping up our communication just to make sure that everyone received them. We will hold the interviews virtually by Zoom, and we will award the scholarships and then hopefully hold an outdoor reception for the recipients as well as the club members to congratulate all of those students. It's a tremendous honor for our club to really be able to recognize these young people, because if nothing else gives you hope for the future of our country or our world, it's meeting these people who have just overcome so much and have such bright futures ahead of them. So perhaps you can join us, Art, for one of these celebrations. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, thanks so much, Wendy. And with all the committees you chair, I had chalked up 17 minutes for your response. So that does leave time for other committee chairs. So I appreciate that. So Mr. Tom Dunham, do you mind if I pass it over to you for the microphone for a second? So Tom is a past president residing when the club had closer to 400 or 500 members. But Tom has worn many hats in our club for a long time, and he would never say it, but he's one of our big boosters of the adaptive bike project. So Tom, if you wouldn't mind just touching for Art's benefit, I mean, we've heard it, and I think all shed a tear when we saw those families impacted in the gala in the past, and seeing the sense of pride and enjoyment that these kids have at their first ever real mobility. So Tom, if you wouldn't mind touching on the adaptive bike committee and then on KIPS, please.
I'll try to briefly, Eric. Congratulations to you and to Art today. Every little kid likes to ride a bike. Some kids aren't able to ride a regular bike. That's where the adaptive bikes come in. Those are bikes and trikes made for kids that can't function on a normal bike. Our club's been successful in supplying a number of them. Right now, We had money from the Dunham Family Foundation and the Kiwanis Foundation of Indianapolis to buy some bikes. So I got on the phone to some of the folks at Riley Children's Hospital. And long story short, we have delivered one bike. We've got 4 more on order. So that's successful, although now we're running out of money. So maybe we can get some more money in the till, because we've got a lot of kids left down at the Riley Hospital and all of the state of Indiana that need an adaptive bike. The KIPS program, that's at Southport High School. And there are a couple of scholarships given every year to a couple of youngsters who have brought up their grades considerably, and their attendance is extremely good. They're active in their community, and they're just good all around the kids. We recognize them at a luncheon in the spring, usually in April, before school's out. I'm pretty confident, I hope I'm dead wrong, but I'm pretty confident we won't be able to do that this year, but we'll award the scholarships. So back on the bikes, look at your newsletter on the, I want to say television, on the computer, that's how smart I am. And you'll see pictures of kids on their bikes that they just got. So there's one on there now, or has been lately, and hopefully there'll be more when the other bikes are delivered. It's a great program, and I just love being in it, and I wish we had $1 million in the account, because I know what we spend it on. That's adaptive bikes. Thank you.
No, thanks so much, Tom. And it will be nice when we're able to award those in person again, because that along with the Abe Lincoln presentations and the history of obstacles those young individuals have overcome, I'd say it's about as emotional as it gets for me, but I'm a big weenie. So I cry when families are touched, and I had any ancillary thing to do with it. So next, well, I'm looking around, we do have a half a dozen committee chairs that I would love to just have brag to Art a little bit, just so he knows how we get down in Marion County. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lou Drexler next, who has been the sponsor of the Perry Meridian Key Club for at least 7 or 8 years, and they do a good job. They have a robust membership. He has helped continue that year over year, and in the sense of developing future Kiwanians, I'm always surprised how it's not just their class, their school, their township. They really are seeking out district positions, district conventions, etc. So Mr. Lou, please.
Well, briefly, yes. About 12, 13 years I've been with the Key Club at Perry Meridian. And through the very leadership, also Laura Holloway has joined me to co-chair that, which is great. Have some continued leadership with that. But we believe we have about 100 youth that are signed up for this year. They've been meeting throughout the year, Zoom meetings and things like that. They're trying to work on projects the best they can. They've got a Halloween thing coming up. They're trying to get volunteers for that, but we have serviced a lot of communities, had worked with the local, I retired from the YMCA, so we have a nice connection with the Baxter Y, and they spend a lot of time volunteering with the Y throughout the years, through the various events they've had and that type of thing. I think the past 12 years, 11 of those years, our club member from Perry Meridian has been Lieutenant Governor of the Capital Division. And a couple of instances where they have been short for leadership in the Key Club, our member also has served in leadership role as Lieutenant Governor for a different district to fulfill that role. So good group, good leadership from the faculty of the school. That's the key to that point. So we have a good support from the principal there this year. Mrs. Peters has done a great job working with the kids and keep them motivated. So yes, and thanks to the foundation to help to be able to send the youth to the district convention. We've had a good representation for that last several years. Thank you.
No, thanks, Lou. And then as part of Kiwanis International's mantras being passed down to the club level, encouraging service leadership program participant parents to join. Lou, if you could just pass that along. The Perry Meridian Kiwanis Club is active but we're looking selfishly for downtown Kiwanis new members, okay? So Mike Halstead and I and the golf committee are putting up a 65-inch Samsung to the member who brings in the most new members, okay? So I don't have any problem giving that to a 16-year-old high school senior who brings in a dozen members to the Kiwanis Club. So if we can get a high schooler with a bigger TV in their bedroom than their parents, I'd be all the happier for it. So Lou and everyone in attendance, please pass that down. So right now, I think I'm winning with one. So, but no, on all honesty, Lou, thank you very much for your service. Bill Du Bois, I'm going to turn it over to you. I understand you're not the formal football committee chair, but you've been active on that committee for a number of years. And I understand, again, they're not letting the 500 of us all meet in person this year at the Colts practice facility. But the football committee, from the precipice of disaster, when people were pointing their fingers, why are we giving to this committee, myself included, the committee came back and answered with a fury of really stepping their game up, going from the fairgrounds to the Colts facility. So Bill, I'm a tennis player and a golfer, so you're more of the four-letter athlete. But if you could just give us some background, and again, more for Mr. Riley's benefit than ours, but if you could just brag about the football committee, please.
All right. Well, I see Roger's here too. You can feel free to add something. The committee has met for quite a few years now, and we honor high school football players, and we always give a scholarship each year to academic leaders that do both athletics and academics well. And also we have what's called a Great Player Award, which is enthusiasm, attitude, community service, all that. We also give a scholarship there and honor most valuable players from each school. Also Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, Marion County and the city. So it's normally quite a terrific event. This year we won't be able to meet in person, but we are planning to do a video, and we'll be sending the video out to each of the schools so they get a chance to honor the students through the video. So that's it.
No, thank you very much. So on my agenda, I'm kicking it over to Art formally at 12:35 to have him talk about the Kiwanis International initiatives and his year's presidency. So the last person I'm going to ask to talk is Mr. Roger Cummings. Thanks, Bill, for that transition. So Roger is one of the committee chairs for Partners in Education at Harshman Middle School. So this calendar year, starting tomorrow to next September 2021, we are starting a wishing well, and each Kiwanian is able to pick a date or 2 or 10, with half of the proceeds going to mothers at Harshman Middle School impacted by COVID, where we'll put together gift baskets for these parents to take home and hopefully just facilitate their life a little bit. So if a COVID vaccine is released January 2nd, the first person in the US to get a FDA approved vaccine, that winner, half the proceeds go to Harshman, half the proceeds go to their charity of choice. So I heard Michael Bloomberg speak once in Manhattan, and my favorite quote ever, he's like, any good politician has to bribe, cajole, and threaten. So my instincts initially are to bribe everybody. So please, Roger, if you could just touch on Harshman Middle School, and then Art, we'll turn it over to you, please.
Thank you, Eric. Congratulations to you and Art for your new roles. Harshman Middle School is, I'm fairly new to this. Been there for about a year and a half. So we haven't really got to see much in action yet, but it's a very exciting group out there. They love to try things a little differently. Programs, I don't even know what they do other than assist with leadership at school. They've got a pretty sizable group as our club, Builders Club. So I'm anxious to get more involved with that and see how we can help them and maybe bring some new ideas to their office and what they do. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Roger. So that being said, Art, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you could just bring us up to speed with what you've learned from the international club level, what initiatives you have, major goals, etc. But this is your podium until you're ready to turn it over.
Thank you, President Eric. It's again an honor and a pleasure to be with you today. Congratulations, Eric. Congratulations to your club. This is the beginning of a new Kiwanis year. And I'm really excited about this coming year. And my excitement originates from several different areas. We could be pessimistic about pandemic, but I'm very optimistic that we're going to emerge. And my excitement generates from a couple different places. Let me go over them, not necessarily in the exact order, but number one, I am very impressed with the amount of work and planning work the 2021 governors, including your governor from Indiana, has done to prepare for this year. They have worked very diligently since last November. And I believe that that's going to bode very well as we move forward through 2021. I'm excited because there are clubs like your club that devote the time and energy to do things. For example, like your adaptive bike program and your dedication to your SLP clubs. That's a source of inspiration. It's a source that will see Kiwanis through some of these rough times. I'm excited because during the past year or so, in conjunction with President Daniel Vigneron, who's now immediate past president, we've asked people to step up and serve on international committees that really do things. We've appointed like an international committee on membership. We have a diversity committee working. We have a committee on Key Club. We call it Key Club 2.0. How can we make Key Club a better opportunity for all of our Key Clubbers? And not one time did we ask someone and they said no. So I've got over 85 Kiwanians working right now on international committees to make sure that our service and what we're offering to our members is top notch. We have to remember that as we move forward, we have to remember that people join Kiwanis Club for, I think, for one of two reasons. Number one, they are looking for some benefit to themselves. So we have to make sure that the value of Kiwanis is there and that what they are expecting they get out of that Kiwanis experience. Or they're looking for a tangible recognition that what they're doing is helping someone else. So we have to make sure that Kiwanis clubs are addressing both of those factors, and that will ensure us to continue to grow as an organization. I'm also excited because I think the growth is ahead of us. In fact, I can report to you, I just got a text a few minutes ago that we've just formed our first club in 2021. So we are going to be building 350 new clubs between now and next September the 30th. That's a good indication that the Kiwanians are growing. They're learning how to open new clubs, whether they be Zoom clubs, different focus clubs. All of those are possibilities. We just have to make sure that we're offering a unique Kiwanis opportunity and address to those individuals who need whatever type of service they want and are desiring, whether it be a single focus club, whether it be a club that mentors youth, whether it be a club that provides community service, such as to your Riley Hospital student patients and all. We have to make sure that there's enough variety in Kiwanis out there that we're attracting a lot of different people. Our diversity committee, as I said, is hard at work. We're going to work very hard in attracting more diverse members to our Kiwanis organization. We're already diverse because if you look at the diversity of Kiwanis around the world, from Malaysia to Belgium to Iceland to Latin America, we are a diverse organization, but we can always do better. I'm also excited about looking at the leadership development programs that are underway. We have two great leadership development programs in the infancy stage right now. Number one is for adults. We are going to have a top-notch leadership development opportunity for Kiwanians to participate in starting in late winter of this year, probably late March or early April. This is going to be a unique leadership development opportunity that Kiwanis is developing as a way not only to develop Kiwanis leaders and to develop them into the leadership pipeline, but also an opportunity to attract young members who are looking for leadership skills that they may have missed out on in their educational experience. This is going to be a unique opportunity for the first 350 Kiwanis who sign up for that, beginning, I think it's going to be in February, to participate in online leadership development. And then that will culminate with an in-person experience at the Salt Lake City International Convention. More information to follow. Kiwanis and staff are also working on a unique leadership development opportunity for our youth, our high school and early college age youth. Leadership development has always been part of the Kiwanis history, starting back to 1925 when the first Key Club opened. Now is the time for us to expand that opportunity to provide leadership opportunities for our youth. This is not another opportunity to expand our Key Club and SLP experiences, but it's also a way to offer youth leadership education throughout the communities. And it's these youth leaders that we will develop into community leaders in the coming years. These are just some of the things that are exciting about things that are happening in Kiwanis. It's a great time to be a Kiwanian, and I hope that each of you will take this opportunity to help build a club, invite new people to join your club, or help Kiwanians group together in maybe a focus group. Maybe it's a club that wants to serve children specifically in a specific way. Maybe it's a literacy club. There's all sorts of opportunities, and the opportunities and a potential that lie ahead on the horizon are unmatched. We just have to make sure that we are doing our part to grow Kiwanis, and I have every confidence that Kiwanians like you will accomplish that during the 2021 year. The other things that are happening in Kiwanis are probably SLP related. We have a Circle K advisory task force looking at how we can improve the Circle K experience. We also have members looking at other different opportunities within Kiwanis. So again, I just like to stress that the potential is there. We just have to roll up our sleeves and work. That's about all I have to say about Kiwanis for right now. Again, I'm excited about the year. It's just underway, and we have about 364 more days to be excited. I will, however, give one shameless plug for the International Convention in Salt Lake City. We were very disappointed that we weren't coming to Indianapolis this past June. But next year in Salt Lake City, it's going to be a wonderful convention. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a block party. We're going to have a fun country evening experience on Saturday evening. We're going to do lots of exciting things. We're going to do education. We may have a service project. So mark your calendars now to join us in Salt Lake City, the crossroads of the West. Those of you who have not been there, it's a beautiful city. It's a wide open city, and I think you'll really have fun in Salt Lake City. The Salt Palace, where we'll be, is a beautiful facility. The major hotels are within a block of the convention center, so it's going to be a wonderful experience. Please join us in Salt Lake City. And if I don't have an opportunity to join your club before then, I can shake your hands in Salt Lake City. So thank you for this opportunity. The pleasure to be with you today. Hopefully you'll be back to meeting face-to-face soon, and maybe one time when I'm in Indianapolis, I'll be able to join you. So thank you for this opportunity. Congratulations to your new officers, and I'll be there to serve you in any way I can. Have a great day.
No, certainly. Thanks, Art. So we are going to kick some questions back to you for a few minutes. So again, I did have a chance to see that article in our monthly magazine, and our family shares an affinity for Wyoming and Montana also, where I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but my 9-year-old wants to live in Wyoming when she grows up. And she's already told us that we're going to come out and babysit her kids.
I always had that goal to live in Wyoming myself, except I looked at real estate prices.
Yeah, and a foot of snow on the ground from October to May. I don't like to shovel snow to begin with, but no. So our club had raised over $250,000 for the Eliminate Project a few years ago. And with KI's headquarters here, we take those international projects very seriously. And I really liked your response in the magazine. So to kind of tee up that question, can you give me an experience that highlights what Kiwanis means to you?
I guess the most recent one that I'd like to highlight is I had the opportunity to go to the Asia Pacific Conference this past March, just before the pandemic created lockdown. And following that convention, about 25 Kiwanians got together. We took a little 5-day trip around the country of Nepal. Part of that trip was involved in for doing a service project at a local school. We had the opportunity to take some school supplies to a local school in Lumbini, Nepal, a very poor school. The village where this school was I can't describe it's hard to describe how much poverty is there. To give you an example, the water buffalo that each family owns lives in the house with the family. Okay, that gives you an indication of what this community is like. We went to this school, it was of 70 youngsters from kindergarten through 7th grade. Their normal allotment of school supplies is one clipboard, one type of a marker, and a sheet of erasable material of some kind. We brought them tablets of paper, pencils, colored pencils, and pencil sharpeners, and you thought you had presented them gold. We also presented them each with a polo shirt, which they were thrilled with. We also brought some adult polo shirts. By the time we handed out the third adult polo shirt, the line had formed. The word had traveled through the community that quickly. One gentleman I presented a polo shirt cried. One gentleman arrived wrapped in a sheet because that was all he had. These are the types of international impacts that Kiwanis can have both locally and internationally that really outlines and summarizes what Kiwanis can do. It really had an impact on me.
No, sorry. I appreciate that. So this year with COVID and social distancing, temperature taking and masks, starting in April, we really did embrace Zoom only formats as the city and state shut down. It let us bring in speakers from Florida to New Jersey to California. How have you seen these meeting formats evolve, and where do you see us a year from now?
Let's see. How has it evolved? I think explosion is maybe the best word. Expansion and explosion. You know, probably the third week in March, I don't know what percentage, maybe 5%, 10% adapted very quickly. But over the coming 2 months, we've had an explosion of clubs that are meeting online and Zoom. I believe we're approaching probably 90% of clubs that are staying engaged in some way, shape, or form. That's encouraging. It's discouraging for the 10% that are not, but we're hoping our lieutenant governors can reach out to them and keep them engaged. 83% of our key clubs right now, according to statistics, are meeting online and virtually. That's exciting. So it's been very encouraging. What it's going to look like a year from now, I think combination probably is the best word. We're never going to get rid of the virtual component. And I think probably the best example that I like to use is this virtual meeting is going to be such a plus in certain areas of the Kiwanis world. And the example I like to use is in Texas, Oklahoma. We have had trouble getting lieutenant governors in that area because of the sheer distances between clubs. You can have sometimes 150 miles between clubs. And so we've had trouble in some of those divisions getting lieutenant governors. Well, now with Zoom meetings, you know, that's now a feasible project to get a lieutenant governor to meet with the clubs 150 miles away, and then cut down the time it takes to do that, just the travel time. So the virtual contact and the communication virtually will never go away. We've turned that corner. We've shown that it can be used. We have to make sure that we're using it to our best advantages and not totally abandon the interpersonal relationships that go with club meetings and conventions, because that's what a lot of people are looking for, is that networking, that interpersonal relationship of Kiwanis around the world.
So Art, just got a two-part question. Number one, how does it feel to be the KI president with the global breadth that it has? And then what pushes you to stay so active in Kiwanis?
Let's see if I can answer that. Number one, I feel very fortunate. Becoming international president, there's some luck involved. There's some timing involved that you're fortunate enough to meet. I mean, for example, you can't run for international board if someone else from your district is already on the board. So there's a timing element there. I feel very fortunate. I ran against some very qualified Kiwanians and came out ahead. I think what keeps me motivated is getting to know new Kiwanians every day, whether they're from Malaysia, whether they're from Belgium, whether they're from the Faroe Islands. The people I've gotten to meet are just wonderful people. And I just summarize that by saying Kiwanians all over the world have the Kiwanis heart. You have something in common with every Kiwanian around the world. So no matter where I go, I'm meeting wonderful people, and I think that's what keeps me going and motivated.
No, I appreciate that, and I can relate to that. I mean, even as we are talking through the different committee chairs, it is kind of head scratching how much work people are doing behind the scenes where they're not, asking to be rewarded and acknowledged for all the work they're doing. So we've got a couple minutes, so I'm just going to circle back to a couple of these committee chairs who I didn't get a chance to pick on individually. So
Eric, if you would permit me, I've got a meeting coming up at 1 o'clock. I just want to say goodbye. I want to congratulate and welcome Lamita to the Kiwanis family. I'm not sure whether you're the first person to join this year, but you're very near the top. If you get your application real quick, maybe you're number one for the year. So it's great to have a new member in Kiwanis this year and a new club. So on this first day of October. So I'd just like to beg your forgiveness and duck out of the meeting now. Thank you again for this opportunity to be with you, and I'm available to you if I can be of help to the club.
No, thanks, Art. So we are going to email you a certificate of appreciation. A donation will be made in your name to Project 44, an Indianapolis-based nonprofit created to raise awareness of the National Bone Marrow Donor Registry. So you will see that email confirmation. I look forward to seeing you in Salt Lake City, and you enjoy your 1 o'clock. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I look forward to meeting you in person.
So Mrs. Nancy Ulrich, in the act of telling us the bylaw committee should not go away, Nancy has been doing some work going through the bylaws. And as I was going through the leadership material, discussing the bylaws is actually something that we're supposed to do the first or second meeting of every year. So Nancy is looking for competent attorneys to help her dig through the lengthy 6 pages of legalese. But Ms. Nancy, would you mind touching on bylaws committee, please? I think you're muted.
No, we have issues with her sound.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So Miss Laura Berry, can I kick it over to you, please, as the chair of the Service Leadership Project luncheon each year? We didn't have it last year for obvious reasons, but if you need help, now's the time to beg and cry and throw your arms in the air. But if you wouldn't mind just giving us a couple minute summary, please.
Yeah, I don't know that I need help. Lou has already agreed to help again this year, and really I ride on his coattails because he's been doing it for I don't know how many years. They begged and pleaded me to join, not this year, but last year. And so it's just a wonderful opportunity that our key clubs get the opportunity to come and explain all the work that they're doing and highlight at the local school level to get Kiwanis activities and kids involved. So we'll see if we're going to get to do it in spring again. I hope so. I miss so much getting to hear everything that's going on at the local level. And honestly, Lou does all of the work getting everybody together. Taylor sends me all the questions we're supposed to ask our panelists. So it is, of all the activities I ever have to do, the least amount of work I honestly have to do for the club. So she must be very gracious to me to make me not have to do anything for this. But it's a wonderful day, and I hope in April we get to come back together and have this panel discussion with all of the different schools and the leadership that is happening.
And I think that was one of the first conversations Laura and I had at Ruth Chris was what's the most visible position with the least responsibility. And I said, oh yeah, you should chair the service leadership lunch.
That
But,
is not. We talked about the golf committee. That's so not true. But
I know.
I appreciate that.
So as we're kind of wrapping up, again, thanks to Graham and everyone going off of our board. Thanks to all the new members coming on. As I all constantly go back to our upcoming calendar. I mean, I think those of us who read the emails that Tina and Taylor put together every week, it is really ingrained on this is November, this is December, this is February, this is March, this is May. But for our guests and people who are looking for ways to get involved, again, tomorrow we've got about 35 people coming out for the 10 o'clock round of golf, the 12 o'clock picnic. We could use a couple more golfers to round out those foursomes. Tuesday, the external grant committee is getting together to give out $35,000. There have been $56,000 of requests, but if anybody wants to get involved, I know I need help with the 2,300 pages of literature I'm reading this weekend. So, but no, again, thanks to Taylor and Tina every week for their work. Thanks to everybody for joining. Again, thanks so much, Graham. I know where you live, so I'm going to drop off a bottle of vodka this big for your relaxation this weekend. And thanks to Mr. Trent for our lunch sponsorship. Trent was one of the initial presidents when I joined and really pushed me to get involved in the K-Kids for CFI. And I think the first thing he said to me was, "You look like someone who likes to be busy." And that is the hottest pickup line in Kiwanis history. And I think I've used it about 15 times. And I think most times people just go cross-eyed because they're so flabbergasted of how nice an ask that really is, where you're not asking, but you're very straightforwardly asking. So thanks for everybody's past support and dedication. So, so that being said, I'll actually turn that over to Mrs. Taylor to point out the things I left out and to formally conclude the meeting.
Well, I don't think you left much out there, Eric, but I'll put the website in the chat and all the information that Eric talked about and information about our committees is on there. And if anyone is interested in learning more about any of those committees, even if you're a current Kiwanian and want to look at other ones, please, let me know, or the committee chairs. So I'll go ahead and put our website link in the chat, which most of you have, but just staff. But I think that's it. But congrats, Eric.
No, thanks so much. And remember, everybody, you all asked me to do this. So I don't want to, no, I'm just kidding. All right, everybody, have a nice weekend. Thanks again for joining us. Take care.